So one day I was playing and testing out a bunch of PlayStation 1 games that I had received from someone. The majority of them were awful tie-in games, but however there were some decent ones like Crash Bandicoot and Apescape. I noticed one that caught my eye that I'd never seen before. Klonoa, Phantomile or something, I don't know how to pronounce that. I've never heard of this game. However, I noticed the Namco logo on the cover. If you don't know, Namco is a well-known name in the video game industry. They're behind classics such as Pac-Man, Galaxian, Tekken, Ridge Racer, and many more. Bandai Namco is their current name because Bandai was a company that made toys and anime, and they merged together with Namco, so Bandai Namco. Yeah. Before we begin, I'd like to clarify that I'll be playing the European version of this game. You may notice some differences between the American one, but most of the time European versions of games are just the American one but with more languages other than English. Okay, back to the game. It looks quite promising. Hey, Pixely from the future here. I just lost all my footage, and now I can't recover it because I was supposed to copy and paste it in the folder I deleted, but for some dumb reason I didn't copy and paste it into another folder, and whoops, now the whole project is broken. Now I have to fix this, so this video is supposedly gonna be really delayed. The game begins with a pretty cool CGI cutscene. You're taken to the title screen, and yeah, the music is really good. And then you're asked to enter your name, which is kind of weird for being a platform game. Well, that's more of an RPG thing. And also, you can change the controls before you even play the game, so I don't know why they wanted you to change the controls before you play the game, but okay. Just from looking at them, they remind me a lot of the modern Mario 2.5D games. I'll be going back to that later in the video. Like, you know, using B to jump and then Y to do an attack or run. The game starts with a dialogue about a strange dream, and then we see the main character, Klonoa. I just noticed there's a little Pac-Man on their hat. That's a neat little detail. It's as if they're wearing a little bit of gaming history on them. A meteor of some sorts falls to the ground, and Klonoa travels to the location where it landed. It appears to be a ring. Klonoa tries to pull it up, and a strange thing materializes from said ring. Another meteor is then seen landing near a village, and then it makes a bell ring, and I'm pretty confused. And that entire sky darkens. That's not a concern because it was all a nightmare, but the mysterious creature was still there, which is kind of confusing. Did he actually, was that a dream or not? Okay. Sorry if this part of the script is kind of messy. I was writing this part while I was watching the cutscene. The game begins and the controls seem very responsive. Klonoa's speed is perhaps too slow for me, but I'm sure I'll get used to it. Remember that I said the controls reminded me of modern 2.5D Mario games? It just so happens that this is a 2.5D platformer as well. Two different coincidences in a row. Klonoa's attack it makes this weird ball thing appear, and when it touches an enemy, it makes Klonoa grab it, and from there you have two things you can do. You can either use them as a second jump, or you can throw them at other enemies or things. The majority of the characters and elements in the game are pre-rendered graphics constructed on a computer and then thrown into the game. This means that the PlayStation uses its power to render the backgrounds, allowing the game's perspective to be changed slightly every now and then for more diverse gameplay. The game takes full advantage of this, and not just because the 3D was the PlayStation's main selling point. I am fascinated. So then there's these yams that also are scattered through the level. So that's the collectible you collect in this game. Klonoa also has this weird float thing just like Yoshi, but it doesn't work quite the same way. When you finally begin to get to the end of the level, someone sees Klonoa and seems to be unhappy with something. But don't worry, they were just mad because they didn't say hello before walking through their castle. The tower, I mean. The characters' voices sound like Banjo-Kazooie. And I like that because Banjo-Kazooie is good. But the sad thing is sound variety makes it more believable than Banjo-Kazooie's voices. Special collectibles that are trapped inside of bubbles that you have to either hit with an enemy or just grab the bubble itself. In level 2, you're in this cave and then you walk out at the end of the level. But then it's boss time. You see these two characters. I'm assuming they're the bad guys. One of them are named Gedius and one of them are named Joka. Joka notices Klonoa and then summons a boss, so the boss fight works by throwing these enemies at the boss after he stopped jumping. But I didn't realize this because as you can see in the footage, I thought you were supposed to throw enemies at the bow. And also you can only throw them from behind. I guess they kind of tried to show this by making his neck flash after he stopped jumping, but I was dumb anyways. After you defeat the boss, well, I had a blast. The levels after this were really fun to play. And it's kind of sad that no one talks about this game as much as other obscure platformers such as KO the Kangaroo and Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. Okay, but at least there's a fan wiki. But everything under the sun has a fan wiki, so... Though I do feel like I need to point out that there's one jungle level that is really bad, because there's like a puzzle thing in one room and they don't tell you about how to solve the puzzle. And that's pretty bad, but it's only for one level. Though you need to be able to play the whole game without looking up a walkthrough. I've never ever had to do that before. I'm actually gonna probably play through the whole game. I'm currently almost done. If you were to tell me that this game was made in this year, you added some graphical enhancement stuff, then I would totally believe you. Maybe not this year, but maybe this century. I mean, yeah, because the game has aged really well. The level feels really dynamic with the camera movement changing and you actually switching between the foreground and the background. It feels really modern in the design for something. It feels like a passionate indie game platformer, just like A Hat in Time or Yooka-Laylee or Shovel Knight. But one thing I'd like to bring up is replayability. Would I replay this game? Probably not, but it's probably just because I have other things to do, like maybe doing a sequel to this video? Who knows? Maybe if it does well? Well, probably doesn't matter because apparently, according to Social Blade, my growth is gonna take a while because apparently I'll have 174 subscribers by 2026. That's a long ass time. Well, you know, you gotta do that self-promotion or self-humiliation. So what? Because that wasn't anything that I will brag about. Back to the game that I was actually supposed to be talking about. So after a lot of levels and a bunch of cool boss fights, like the boss fights in this game is like the top level stuff. But then there's the final boss. The final boss is rather good. If you haven't noticed, I've tried to keep this video kind of spoiler free. Like, I do have to mention a few key parts in the story, but I've tried as much as I could, because it's kind of hard to write about what you like about the game without spoiling the game itself. But I try to. But their story. Definitely. It's not The Last of Us 2, but there's definitely a story here. I personally find the last boss kind of underwhelming. So, Klonoa, a perfectly excellent game, but with a pretty, well, bad boss fight. Like, it wasn't like what I expected out of this game. And yes, there is a sequel. And if this video does well, maybe I'll play it, and maybe I'll talk about it in a video like this one, but about the second game. And maybe the remake as well. I've heard plenty of good stuff about the remake, like it having full English voice acting. But I'm really excited to see what comes next after this. Like, the next one is gonna be even better, I hope, because oh boy, like, it might not be that impressive today, but when you compare it to more the other platformers on the PlayStation 1, the like games like Crash Bandicoot fall kind of flat when it comes to this level of dynamically changing environments and level design. Looking up information about Klonoa, it makes me sad that this game franchise actually ended after they made a remake on the Wii. Yeah, but for now, I'm really happy with this franchise, and I would happily make another video, even though it takes a lot of time, a lot of scripting, writing, and trying to be funny while sitting close to a microphone, because my microphone sucks unless you just pull your face up against. So yeah, this is me, Pixely, telling you that this video was actually supposed to be 20 minutes long, but I had to cut it because it's way too out of hand. And bye. Have a nice day. If you've subscribed,